Hello, good afternoon. Hope y'all can hear me. Just turn up my volume. Okay, good afternoon, good afternoon. Say hello as you come in so I can know who's watching. I think I'm always surprised when there's a number of people that jump on in the middle of the day. Either I have a bunch of entrepreneurs or parallelpreneurs following me, or you guys just have great jobs where you can just be on social media. Hey, how you doing, Christina? Hey, Judith, how are you? All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming on in. I wasn't sure. I know it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But anyway, I'm Phoenix Love of a Healer's Haven. I work with purpose-driven leaders to provide holistic healing solutions to help you achieve your wellness goals as well as work-life balance. I am the helper to the healer and the healer to the helper. So thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'm just popping on, real quick. This is not going to be a long message because I'm actually taking a little break from my work because I am preparing for my amazing virtual workshop that's going to be this Saturday. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But this message came to me while I was working on it. And also because, I have my little TV programs. I'm not a big TV person, but I do have a couple of programs like I like to watch, like on OWN. I don't know if everybody likes Oprah's network and some of the shows on there, but I was watching, I think it was Greenleaf. And I was thinking about the young lady, I think her name is Zora. She's the daughter of Jacob, and I think, they're part of that whole Greenleaf clan. And, she's in a domestic violence relationship with her boyfriend. And, it just brought me back to when I was working with girls. I was a director of treatment for a juvenile justice facility, and I did a lot of work with teenage girls, and just, had me thinking about that whole dynamic. And of course, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so, all of this was just kind of coming up in my mind about the energy, our energy, and just how we operate as spirit energy beings in this, living out this human experience in this human flesh body. And often with this young lady, she had, to me, she had ample opportunity because her parents kept intervening, the cousins, for her to be like, you know what, this is not the best thing for me. But she was already, the grooming process happened. He was already in her head. And I understand because I've done a lot of work with domestic violence victims. And like I said, working with young girls who was in situations like that. But what came from that and what made me started thinking about how we operate, especially women, when it comes down to our relationships, do we have blinders on sometimes? And often we see what we want to see, right? Because there's always signs. There's always signs in the beginning with those types of situations. And when we talk about energy, that is usually our best indication. We always get some type of intuitively, we know something is not right, right? And that has a lot to do with us being energy beings. So the message, I titled it The Three Signs That You Are a Magnet for Negative Energy, because often a big indicator, number one indicator, is the people that we have in our life. That's usually an indication that we are a magnet for negative energy, because usually we attract to us based on what unmet need that we have within us. So if something is unfinished, whether it's from our childhood or it's from a previous relationship and it never was quite resolved, or it's just certain things that we're still trying to work out and resolve within ourselves, we are going to track that type of energy to ourselves. And this is by no means, like I said, and let me just be transparent for a minute. As a child, I was also a witness to a lot of domestic violence. So this is no way in form, shape, or form blaming victims or anything like that. However, I do want, it's an opportunity And I use that example for a reason, for us to always be able to be proactive and use preventative measures. Um, we always want to go into any type of relationship. And I'm not just talking about love and romance relationship, but I use that as an example just kind of to open up this discussion, is that we always want to look at our relationships that we get into, whether it's friendships, whether it's work relationships, a job, environment. We always want to look at it with all of our eyes. So these two eyes and that third eye, that intuition, and having our ears and our antennas up. And not saying you're always on heightened alert or anything like that, but you are being intuitively led. And I say that because, again, when we talk about we are energy being, we do have this electromagnetic field around us, force field that we don't see, but it's called our aura, and we all have it, and that's how we interact with each other. And when let's look at the other side of it on a positive note. When you are feeling someone and you may be dating, or you're single and you're attracted to someone, and you said there's chemistry with that person, that's energy. That's real. We have these hormones in our bodies, these sex hormones called pheromones, and those things are kind of going off, and that's just how we are wired as human beings. But what happens is when our energy system is not clear, because we may have some blockages, or we may have some past trauma or emotions that are out of sorts or out of whack because of things we've been through, we start to draw certain type of energy to us. And that usually shows up in the form of a person or people, environments. So the first one is really, let's look at toxic relationships, okay? And that's usually the telltale sign. If we seem to be in a pattern of toxic relationships, and that, again, is not just romantic relationships. That can be with your family members. That could be with friends also, associates. So it's not just relegated to love and romantic relationships. So I just want to, drive that home. So if you find yourself in these combative relationships, or people that are very toxic, or they're very draining to you, sabotaging. Again, we can have people in our life that they present one way, but kind of behind our back, they're sabotaging our goals, our achievements, our even our relationships, other relationships. You have to kind of look at that and say, what's going on here? Why is this becoming a pattern that, either I'm going from relationship to relationship romantically, and that person is the same person, just in a different meat suit. Where and I'm sure some of us can relate to that, especially, whether you're a male or a female, where you're dating, you're a single person, and everybody, you have one boyfriend or girlfriend after another, and it's the same situation, it's just packaged in a different body. And that says a lot. That's where you have to step back and say, well, what's really going on here? Why do I keep ending up with this same type of person? Or why do I keep ending up in this same type of relationship with these very similar dynamics? Okay? Or you can also look at, again, family members, friendships. Are you in these relationships with your friendships and your family where you are constantly being taken advantage of? So that's something you have to look at as well. Because, again, is there something within you that's not a need that's not being met? Is there something within you that's crying out that needs to be resolved, so you keep drawing and being this magnet for these type of people that come and either take advantage of you, use you, or, abusive emotionally, or, just very toxic. When you leave them, you feel very drained, and you feel uncomfortable all the time, even in your own skin around these people. That's an indication that there's something not right with that relationship. There's something, and if you're staying in it, then there's something that you're getting from it also. It's called secondary gain. We talk about that in the clinical world. There's some kind of secondary gain that's coming out of that relationship. So you, even though it's not healthy for you, it's toxic, that every time you are around that person, you feel sick, you feel, just ill, and something's not right. but you stay in it for some reason. And a lot of times there's something being met. There's some unmet need that's being fulfilled within you. So this is what I'm talking about, where you become that magnet, and you're gaining something from it, even though you know it's hurting you, and it may even be killing you. From a physical standpoint, maybe you're having physical ailments as a result of it. You're emotionally drained. You're having bouts of depression. You're anxious. You have a lot of anxiety. So this is not working for you. So that's the telltale sign. You are attracting, certain types of people around you, or you're keeping these people in your life. So you're that magnet. And listen, anything that I talk about on here is because I've been there. I was a magnet for negative people. I was a magnet. They were just everywhere, at work, family members, friends. It's like I was just drawing them to me. And I was like, what is going on here? And then I kept feeling like, oh man, I just need to not be friends with this person and not deal with that type of person anymore, until I realized there was something within me that I had to work on with me. There was some unhealed wounds, some things that I just, kind of pushed it away, tucked it down, and a lot of it came from my childhood. And I've been very transparent. Some of you are new to following me, but I'm very transparent. I've written about it in my books, about my story and about my healing journey. So I can speak about this from the seat, not only as being a therapist and as being a holistic health practitioner, but as being a person who have walked through this. I was a magnet for negative people and negative energy. So that's number one, that cycle of attracting negative people. And they sometimes, look, it just be the same person showing up with a different, like I said, a different meat suit, but it'd be that same person over and over again. The second thing or sign is that you have uncontrolled ruminating thoughts, meaning that you wake up, from the time your feet hit the floor, you're already in a space of worrying. You're already in a space of anxiety. You're already thinking over and over again about maybe something that happened the day before or the week before, or you just, whatever challenges that has happened, you're constantly playing it over and over and over again in your head. Okay? So that means that you are vibrating at a very low frequency, because if you are constantly thinking negative thoughts all day long, or the majority of the time, you are not at your highest consciousness. You have these thoughts where you can't even control it. It's out of control at that point. And this is why I hear a lot of, even in my community, in my group, and I just, from talking to people, and when I do these lives, I hear people always say, well, I have a hard time meditating. I have a hard time, focusing and sitting still and just even praying sometime. Yes, because your mind has taken control over you. You don't have control over your mind and your thoughts. It has completely run away. And we know that our mind, because that's just how it is, it's like a runaway train. And if we don't learn how to gain control over it, that's exactly what's going to happen. And it makes it very difficult if you are having situations that come up, because life is going to happen. There's always going to be stuff that happens that may be negative, or somebody does something, or anything. That's just life. But it's all about how you respond to it in the moment. It's all about how you process it in your mind, and not staying on that and saying, okay, well, what's the solution to this? Is this something that I can manage? Is this something that I can do something about it? Or is it something that I have to pray about it, give it away, and keep moving towards something else and leave it right where it is? And sometimes once you get to that place where you have these ruminating thoughts and they're uncontrollable, then you're not able to do that. And then you have what we call the monkey mind, that your mind is all over the place. There's a lot of confusion. There's, you have a hard time focusing. And then what happens with that is it makes it very difficult for you to stay on task and actually achieve your goals. And then this is where I hear some of the feedback, and I've been there, where it's hard to actually accomplish your goals. You can plan out a whole bunch of goals, plan out your day, but it makes it very difficult for you to actually to achieve them and be able to accomplish each of those goals. So, that ruminating thoughts, and that, what I say is like the tape recorder that never gets turned off. and to the point where it interrupts your sleep. You start having sleep disturbances. So that is definitely another sign that you are a magnet for negative energy, because then your vibration is very low. Your frequency is very low. So you are susceptible. You're more open, right? It's just like you have a compromised immune system. Let's think about from a physiological standpoint. If you have a compromised immune system, just like a newborn baby or maybe an elderly person that may have had an illness, it's the same thing. Then you are more open to getting different diseases or a cold or the flu. It's the same thing. When you are operating at a very low frequency, your energy, get our energy system, your energy system is compromised because you have these thoughts, negative thoughts and they're on repeat, then you are going to be more open to negativity coming your way. And you have no defense. You have no defense at that point, because what are you thinking at that point? The main defense against anything that's negative is, of course, positive. And guess what? We have like 50,000 messages that go through our mind every single day. 50,000. And one out of 5 messages are negative. So we have to have like triple the amount of positive messages to be able to counteract that flood of negative messages that come. We just programmed to think negatively. And that's unfortunate, but that's just how we're wired. So we have to constantly, this is why I'm big on affirmations. If you read the Bible, scriptures, just positivity, speak of positivity, chanting, praying, meditating, because all of those things is going to raise your frequency and your vibration. Because when you have that low vibration, you are going to be a magnet. The last thing is about being, and this is a little tricky because we're talking about the environment then. If you are stuck in an environment that is toxic, and that most of the time that's like our work environments, right? Many of us, especially those of us that are in the helping field, when we work in hospitals, or we're clinicians, we work in certain agencies, government. I worked for the government before. That can be a very toxic environment sometimes, right? But if you find yourself where you're stuck in those environments, or you go from one workplace to another that is nothing but negativity there, then you're going to be drawing that negative energy to you. That's another sign, because when we know better, we do better, right? When we know that an environment is not healthy for us, when we know an environment is toxic and that it is affecting our health, our mental well-being, our physical well-being, then it's time to move on. It's time to say, you know what, I need to do something different. And we do have a choice. Because a lot of times people say, oh, well, the money and the benefits and this and that. No. Nothing is more important than your health. Your health is number one. Because guess what? You can't spend money if you're not here. You can't spend the money. You can't do nothing with the benefits if you are not here. Or if you're laying up in the hospital, on your last breath because you have totally just worn yourself out being in an environment that is unhealthy for you. So it is a choice. And it becomes where's your value? What's most important? What's the priority? Okay? Because if you stay in an environment that's like that, and sometimes, I hate to say it, and we know this, sometimes it's our homes. But then that has to do with who's in the home as well and what's going on in the home. So it's about the response. It's about the response. Once we know, what are we doing about it? But those are the 3 telltale signs. You look at your circle, because again, you have that statistic, and I'm probably going to paraphrase it. But the fact is that your 5 closest people that, based on what they're doing, who they are, how their movements are, how their life is, that's a large indication on how your life is going to be or what your future is going to look like. So if you are surrounded by people that are constantly complaining, that are toxic, or you're in toxic environments, that's a good indicator of where you're going and even where you are. And again, I'll be transparent for a moment. I knew it was time for me to move on from a job, you know, a good job, a government job, because there was so much negativity. And it's very, yes, we're meant to be the salt and the light of the earth, and to be the light in darkness, and to be able to be an influence to people. But when it starts to affect your own health, which is where I had to step back and say, yes, I can continue to be a blessing here, which I was, and that's not being facetious. I continue to be a blessing, but it can't be at the expense of my well-being and health. And that's really what it boils down to. You have to make the decision. You have to make the choice. Okay? But when, again, this is really about your energy level, your energy system, how you are functioning on a day-to-day basis. Because if you are looking around at your circle, if you're looking at the environment that you're in, and you're looking at your self-talk, your thoughts that you're having every day, and they're all negative and everything, and you're wondering, why am I stuck? I can't move forward. I'm not on task. I'm not able to accomplish my goals. This is why. Because your frequency is very low, and you're not operating at your best and at your optimal. And you know that because it's showing up everywhere in your life. Okay? So the good thing is there's always an answer for it. There's always a solution. And like I said, when I introduce myself, for those of you who are not that familiar with me, I say I'm the healer to the helper and the helper to the healer, meaning that me as a therapist and a holistic health practitioner, I am able to support whoever needs the help, especially those that are leaders and that are in the helping profession, because we are more susceptible to being to experiencing burnout, compassion fatigue, vicarious trauma. And some of us are still dealing with our own past trauma. So I wanted to jump on here quick. Again, I'm going to wrap this up. Like I said, I was taking a break because I'm working on putting together this wonderful workshop that I'm going to be doing on Saturday. It's a virtual workshop that you can take advantage of from the comfort of your home, just like you're sitting here watching me now. And it really is an opportunity to deal with everything I just spoke about, to deal with that negative thinking, to deal with those unhealed traumas or those unhealed wounds, because that, my sister, my brother, that is what's keeping you stuck. That is what's keeping you in bondage. That is what's presenting strongholds in your life. That is why you are drawing certain people into your life in certain situations. Because at the end of the day, we need to know, know who we are and be able to identify those issues and those challenges that we're still going through. And we have public struggles and private battles. Each of us know what our private battles are. We know what we deal with when we get behind the closed door and we are crying or screaming or having a fit because we are still struggling on the inside. How do I know? Been there, right? But you have to show up. You have to show up as a leader. You may be in a management position. You may be the leaders of your household, have your children, your families. You have to show up, and people depend on you. But who can you depend on? Who's helping you? Who's taking care of you? So this is where you have to practice your self-love and say, you know what? I have to put myself as a priority because I'm tired of being in this cycle of negativity. And it will continue. It continues until you do something about it. It may get a little better, and sometimes we may have glimpses of things looking great and nice, and, it seems like we're having a good day, but somehow it always comes back to that. It's a cycle. So there's an opportunity to break the cycle. So Saturday I have what'd you say, Angela? Okay. Saturday I have a virtual workshop. And the workshop, like I said, is done from the comfort of your home. It's called Unlock the Secret to Clearing Emotional Blockages and Eliminating Negativity. And we're going to look at 5 personalities and types of relationships that are unhealthy and that you really need to either sever them or learn how to put certain boundaries in place. And those are some of the things I will talk about, give some strategies on that. We're also going to look at 7 different holistic healing practices, and I'm actually going to demonstrate them. It's a very interactive. There's 2 parts. The first part is just me kind of outlining strategies and information. The second part is all interaction. So, the attendees, you come comfortable clothes, because we're going to be doing some meditating, breathing, some self-Reiki, tapping. It's going to be a phenomenal workshop, and we are going to do the work. It's what I call soul work, because a lot of times we're walking around with all of this stuff. I call it junk. We're carrying a lot of junk in our heart, in our minds, in our spirit, and we need to release that junk. Okay? So we're going to look at a variety of different strategies, and I'm also going to talk about, and I want to make sure I mention this, those of you that are self-identify as empaths or introverts, you really need to be a part of this workshop, because I am going to spend a little time on empaths, being an empath, what it means and what it looks like, because I'm an empath, I'm an introvert. I have extroverted tendencies. However, we have to protect ourselves at an even higher level, because we are more sensitive. We're more, how can I say, we're almost like a walking raw nerve. So we have to protect ourselves even at another level. So I'm going to be speaking specifically to empaths and introverts on a piece of that, the training as well. Because I know many of us that are called to do this work, this healing work, and in the health profession, we are. And some of us don't even know we are. So, it's an opportunity for you to learn more about being an empath and what that looks like. And if you are an introvert as well, there's some specific crystals and gemstones and different healing techniques, essential oils that can be used to help. So this is all of the things that I will cover in this workshop, and it's going to be intensive, because I'm compressing it in a short period of time, just so that, I can give you the tools so that you can help to heal yourself. Because we all have the ability. We all have the innate ability to heal ourselves. And, I'm here as a guide. I'm here as a resource to give information. I always talk about that when I come on and do these lives. So, so I'll drop the information, the registration link, and it also has all the details about the workshop. Again, it's a virtual workshop. It's on Saturday, October 13th, and it's from 10 a.m. to 12:30. So if you can't sit for it, part of the registration, you will get a playback. So, for some reason you can't sit for the whole thing or whatever, you have the playback. I'll send it right out after we do the live workshop. So I'm excited about it. So that's what I said. I took a break because I just have so many different things. You get a workbook. I think I'm throwing in an assessment. I always give above and beyond, because I really just want to see everybody get healed and deal with these issues and challenges that all of us, most of us have experienced one thing or another. And we have this kind of, pattern of negativity that happens sometimes. But there are solutions. And, I'm here to be able to provide the solutions. So anyway, let me just look and see. I know there was comments. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything or any comments. It's kind of hard to see it. Hey, Angelique, thanks for joining. Dana, Sash, James, hello. I love to see the brothers come in the circle. Christina, yes. Okay, she says, I finally gained control. Wonderful. Okay, and Nay, I think I saw you as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining. If you have questions for me, please feel free to hit me up, inbox me, drop a question in the comments, but I will put the link in the comments as well. And I think that's it. So I'm Phoenix Love of a Healer's Haven. And if you are not a part of my online community, let me say this. I always want to give this invitation. If you are not a part of my online community and you are looking for support, resources, accountability, and you want to live your life holistically, and you want to learn more about holistic healing resources and solutions, come on over to Holistic Living for Purpose-Driven Leaders. That's our community. We are a thriving and growing community. We have some fantastic leaders in that group, and everyone's, sharing their information and their wisdom. And we have a good time in there. We just wrapped up a 30-day Kick Your Bad Habit Challenge, and that was awesome. People actually kicked their bad habit. So I am looking to do some other stuff before the year is over. So join us, and I'll drop that link as well. Okay, so that's all I have. Thank you so much for popping in on the midday, and I'm hoping to see some of you on Saturday at the virtual workshop. All right, blessings, everyone.